Guys, gals, non-binary pals, welcome back to Rhyme Signatures. As I'm sure you're very well aware at the moment, my name is Ian, and I am coming to you with something a little bit different today. Yeah, this isn't strictly speaking a review, because I haven't had time to review what I'm talking about today, because it only aired yesterday night. Yeah, I'm talking about Devin Townsend's The Moth. Now, I had the exciting opportunity to witness this via the live stream last night, paid out a little bit of dosh for that. Couldn't make it over to Amsterdam, couldn't get tickets for the real thing, which is a shame because I'd love to have gone. So it is just gone 8 o'clock in the morning here, so I'm recording this whilst it's still kind of fresh in my memory. I've made some notes and all that sort of thing, but I just want to talk a little bit about my experiences, my initial reactions, my impressions about the live show of The Moth. So for those of you who aren't aware what this is, for the past 10 years or so, Devin has been talking about making an opera, and it originally sort of came about as it was going to be an opera about how shall I put it, downtown parts. Obviously that didn't stick. It's not about that anymore, which is, thank God, quite frankly, because that could have been a little bit cringe. But in Devin we trust, don't we? So what we've ended up with eventually is, in Devin's own words, The Moth is about transformation. Now, I've made a few notes here, which I've taken down on my other device here. So he basically talks a lot about at the opening of the set. He spent about 30 minutes or so detailing as to how he got to where he is today with the project, all the people involved and how they've helped him to sort of help it, just to help make it happen, as it were. And there was a lot of people involved, a lot of moving parts to this project, and it is honestly extraordinary that it was able to be pulled off in the way that it has been done, because, quick sort of like advance spoiler as to my initial impressions. My impressions of The Moth were very positive. I thought it was an excellent experience. I thought the performances were extraordinary. The actual logistics, especially of the live stream, were fantastic. The quality of the video, the quality of the mixing and all the sounds and all that. It was very good. But I do have a lot of sort of thoughts and feelings and a lot to unpack really about what I actually watched last night, and I just want to take a little bit of time kind of discussing how it made me feel, how I feel this is going to sit in Devin's discography, what kind of music it even was, all that kind of stuff, I just want to get a little bit of a word dump down out there. So things started off pretty straightforwardly. He did a little bit of a small acoustic set to sort of like as a kind of a warm-up before actually starting the main thing proper. So after about the first 30 minutes or so of thank yous and what have you, he led into a small acoustic set, as I say, it was Let It Roll, Funeral. Now he started doing Hyperdrive, he got about 2 minutes in, decided, nah, screw that, I'm getting bored, and then he sort of segued into doing a rendition of Life, which was fantastic. Great audience of participation from that. You could feel the buzz in the room, the energy, the enthusiasm from everybody there. It was so good. And I just want to say that Devin's voice, oh my God, the entirety of this experience, from the acoustic set to the main event, I have never heard this man sound so good vocally in my life. Which brings me to an interesting point I actually felt about The Moth. One thing that I have never seen from Devin in a live situation. Now, I've seen him live about close to 10 times now, I think. I've seen him a lot, but he's always had a guitar. Always had one of his signature guitars where he will just, rock out, riff out, solo this, yada yada. The entirety of The Moth, the only time Devin picked up a guitar was in the segue between Act 1 and Act 2. And didn't really do anything much with it, just kind of sort of noodled some atmospheric noises. The entirety of the actual performance proper, Devin is vocals only. He is performing as a vocalist only, and it's very, very interesting to see that side of him, because all of the guitar work is handled by the band he has brought with him. Now, the band he brought along with him is absolutely fantastic. I don't remember off the top of my head who was in it. He did mention it during the thank yous initially, but dozy old me, I forgot to type it down, so whatever. I remember Mike Keneally's in it, but he's always in it, so. But everybody was fantastic. But the main takeaway that I got from The Moth is, as you would probably expect, it was the orchestra and the choir, who are sat obviously at the back of the arena. Wow. Just honestly, wow. They were doing the heavy lifting. So in that effect, this very much did feel like an opera, The main musicality, the main instrumentation, it's all being done by the North Netherlands Symphony Orchestra, I think it was. And I think it's like some 70-piece choir, I think, at the back. You've got your altos, your tenors, your baritones, all that jazz, People from all walks of life, but they were fantastic. fantastic. Oh my god, honestly, singing along, harmonizing with Devin alongside his like lead vocals. Oh my god, absolute chills so many times during the performances. I thought it was absolutely extraordinary. The overall tone and mood, I suppose, of the Moth. Now, I didn't really know what to expect going into this because, I mean, none of us had heard anything about what this could potentially be, what kind of sound this was going to be. Nobody knew anything, and I went into it expecting something. I don't know. I wasn't expecting what we got because I was expecting maybe something a little bit even more off the walls than what we actually received. End of the day, if you want to compare this, you can sort of slot this into Devin's discography. This does feel like it has a particular Townsendian style, because of course it does. And I suppose the nearest equivalent you could kind of put this to is if you took Empath, stuck it on amphetamines, and let it loose in the wild. It's got that kind of bombacity, that kind of extraordinary theatrical nature that tracks like Why might have. You remember that one from Empath where he's like, why? You know, that one. But it doesn't really have that level of kitsch, you know. There is a very dark, sinister, serious nature to a lot of the music on this. Devin does a great job of plumbing the depths of his most animalistic rage at times. He brings that out to the fold so well. Like I say, his vocals on this are extraordinary. If there is nothing else that the Moth does, it provides a showcase for just how good of a vocalist Devin is. But the musicality is the star here. The actual, like I say, the orchestra and the choir, they are the real stars of the show here. Also, we do have a lot of the sort of co-lead vocals are done by, I can't remember her name, but she's the lead singer of the Chinese band O. I believe Devin provided some guest vocals to their album from last year, which was pretty cool. And she is quite extraordinary as well. A real sense of ethereal, haunting beauty that counteracts and offsets against Devin's savagery at times. And the two of them sort of like meshing together and bringing forth the ideas and the story of the Moth as a pair, it works incredibly well. It is quite frankly astonishing to listen to at times. So I do want to address like kind of the really big elephant in the room though with the Moth, which really bothered me, and I don't want to say it ruined the experience for me because I don't think that's fair to say it ruined the experience for me. But for those of you who have been keeping themselves like off of social media, who didn't really want to know anything about it going into it, there is an unfortunate use of a lot of artificial intelligence-based video and imagery in the backing sort of stuff behind the band, basically. And there is at one point where Devin introduces a new character to the story, which I believe was called Lexin. And Lexin is an axolotl, and obviously those who are deep into their Devin Townsend lore will know that axolotl is also one of the projects that they are currently still working on. Now, it was painfully obvious, unfortunately, when this character appeared on screen that this was an AI creation. It didn't look good. It looked like that kind of AI slop, if that makes any sense. It was so obvious that it was artificial intelligence and didn't feel like there was a single element of human creation behind this, and it looked it was uncomfortable to look at, and I couldn't. The problem was, of course, is that because I'm on a live stream, I don't have a lot of options. I am being shown what the cameras show me, and there were a few instances where it was the entirety of the screen. You could only see this hideous demonic creation, and it didn't sit right with me. For an artist with the integrity of Townsend to be utilizing AI artwork in the background did not sit well with me. It made me feel uncomfortable. I feel that is about the best approximation as to what I can possibly describe how it feels. The individual behind all of this has actually come up with a statement, which I'll just briefly read out for you all. So, chap says, "Hey guys, I made the visuals, so 50% is AI, and 50% is cinematic stock footage of ArtGrid, and blending the two mediums together." It says, "And of course our opening animation by DC, who did the Y music video. We all wanted to visualize World of the Moth accurately. So without $1 million to animate it, $10 million to film it, this was presently the way. Not that it was easy, it took hundreds of hours, and we really like how it turned out. I've been a filmmaker for over 10 years, and while I absolutely find the rapid innovation of AI overwhelming and even distressing, I also find it incredibly exciting. We even leverage the strange chaos of AI generations to create a truly otherworldly creature fully in line with the Moth's world to sing one of the songs. If you know, you know." That alone took 100 hours. It is a world-changing, powerful new tool, but many of us are excited to learn how to add it to our kit of many tools and bring visions to life. Guys, obviously it's a hot topic, and if you feel differently, I totally respect that. Big love. Yeah, no, I don't like it. I simply do not like it. I think it is cheap. I think it makes things look just ghastly. It was ghastly to look at. It was. I eventually, because of the extreme use of AI generated imagery in these background movies, I just closed my eyes. I stopped looking at the experience on screen, and I just let the music speak for itself. So that obviously is my big gripe with it. I didn't like that aspect of it at all, and I do think that there should be a statement being released about this. There should be commentary coming directly from Devin about the use of artificial intelligence in the Moth. And I think we are owed that much. I do feel we are owed that much. I don't really want to speak much more about it because obviously I'm just one guy on the internet with an opinion. Yours might differ on the use of generative AI in terms of artistic expression, and if your opinion differs, that's fine. I can't change that. I can't alter your own opinion. This is just mine on the matter. Having said that, though, I feel that the project starts very strong. It's about 76 minutes long, I think it was overall, all told. So it's kind of like a long album. I don't know whether it'll be released as a double because it was split into 2 acts, Act 1 and Act 2, obviously, with this little sort of intermission, kind of like an atmospheric intermission in between the two of them. But I feel that it starts incredibly strong. The opening number, after you get the sort of the atmospheric build-up out of the way, it's so good. It is so good. It feels like it's got that kind of chaos of Genesis off of Empath, but it's just dialed up a little bit extra. And it was a lot of fun to listen to. There was a lot going on, there was a lot to take in, and honestly, that is the project as a whole. I do feel that sort of halfway through the first act, it did feel like it was petering out a little bit, like it was kind of washing over me and nothing was really sticking at that point. But that could be by and large because it was the first time I'd listened to it. There was no real sense of context or grounding or catchy hooks to draw you in. I feel that the more I listen to this, because you do get access to the VOD for like 2 months of unlimited streaming after the fact, so I will be giving you some more listens to as time goes on. I feel it's going to be one of those ones that does grow on you quite substantially. But yeah, it did meander a little bit in the middle, but the end of the first act, again, I felt it ended very strong. And then when we segued into Act 2, I felt it was pedal to the metal the whole way. The ending sort of climactic track was absolutely extraordinary. One of the best things I've heard Devin ever make. I thought that was brilliant. But overall, my impressions of the Moth, they're very positive, like I say. I did enjoy myself a lot, but I am also left feeling quite conflicted. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in, and obviously you can only really get so much from something you've heard for the very first time in that setting, in that context, before you have to really step back and think to yourself, how does this make me feel? Which is kind of the point of this video. I'm not reviewing it as per se. This isn't a recommendation to go and buy the VOD or anything like that. This is just me word dumping how the experience made me feel. Given that I've spent so much of my time anticipating this project, having had little drip-fed updates of this over the last 10 years, and there's been a lot of build-up to this, a lot of hype, a lot of I don't know, a lot of expectation. And I don't think my expectations, if I'm being brutally honest, I don't think they were matched. But that isn't necessarily a bad thing. I was expecting something else. I don't know, I was expecting like Carmen or something like that, but like done in Devi's style. But ultimately, what the Moth is, it is another Devin Townsend release. It is very much cut of the cloth that we've come to expect from him. It's a little bit more obviously focused instrumentally on the choir, on the orchestra, with the actual band itself being less of the focus. This feels more like orchestra featuring Devin Townsend rather than Devin Townsend featuring orchestra. Now, you may or may not love that, and ultimately, I don't know what I was expecting, which is why I found the Moth such a complicated thing to talk about. This is just a complete stream of consciousness, by the way. I haven't really planned anything out here. I even got like 3 pages of notes on like my Google Docs, and I've not really looked at them that much because I feel like if I think too much about what I'm saying, I won't say the truth about my feelings. And so, yeah, that's just where I am with the Moth. It was a fascinating listen. It was absolutely enthralling from start to finish. There wasn't a single moment where I ever felt bored. There were moments where I felt a little bit sort of out of sorts with the music, like I wasn't quite sure what direction it was going in. It felt a little bit meandering in places, but it never got me to the point where I thought, I don't want to be listening to this. You know, I was always expecting something different to come out next. And for the most part, that's exactly what happened. The Moth was a constantly evolving, difficult flower. You know, it was so strange. And just the sight of Devin without a guitar, that took me a little while to get used to. You could tell he was clearly enjoying the performance. He was very animated. He was very much keeping within the realms of the narrative of the story. You know, there was a lot of expression coming from him. It all felt like it was all coming to a head. At all times, there was never any doubt in my mind that Devin knew exactly what he was doing. He was very into it, very passionate about what he was doing, and you could really feel the enthusiasm that was coming off of him throughout the entire performance. And that much, I think, is where I will stand with the Moth. I've been a little bit lukewarm on Devin's releases lately. I felt Lightwork was a bit mid. I didn't much care for Power Nerd outside of a couple of songs. But I feel that the Moth has given us that little bit of a punch, you know. There is a bit more punch, a bit more pizzazz, a little bit more of that spark and flavour that I've come to love from Devin. I suppose the last thing of his that I truly felt was extraordinary, oh god, Casualties, I think, really, to be brutally honest with you. I thought Transcendence was fine. It was fine. It was kind of a little bit by the numbers at that point. There were a couple of good songs and all that, but, you know, I didn't think it was all that. But I do feel that the Moth is recapturing that spirit, that essence of Townsend that I fell in love with so easily. And I think that once I've given myself a chance to listen to this a few more times, once the studio release comes out and I'm able to sort of tackle it a bit better, figure it out a bit more, get the narratives down, figure out the story, because obviously I don't know what the hell the lyrics are, and you can only follow them on so easily when you're in a live setting, you know, it's not that straightforward. Once I've got all that unpacked, I do think that this will sit quite high in his discography. I am just concerned, like I say, about the use of generative AI, because again, this axolotl character is singing during the experience, and at no point during the axolotl singing on the screens did we see any video footage of anybody on stage singing, which again leads me to have concerns that we are talking about AI generated singing as well. And if that is the case, then I am extremely disappointed in that use. But I will give benefit of the doubt for now. I'm not going to assume anything. I mean, like I say, between now and the recording of the studio version, anything can change. Feedback about the use of AI could very well reach its way to Devi, and I'm hoping that he takes that criticism on board, because I do not feel that this has any place within the genuinely creative arts. I think it is wrong to be using it. I don't think we should be embracing this technology for this purpose at all. I'm not saying that AI doesn't have a place in society. It's here to stay. We can't get rid of it. But just for the creative arts, I think it needs to be put in a box and thrown in the sea. You know, just get rid of it. Don't entertain the use of it at all, because that was such a sour point for me during the experience. It nearly ruined the experience for me, I'm not going to lie. I was so upset and so disappointed to see the use of this technology for an artist's performance that I have had so much respect for in the past, that it nearly just, I don't know, bad taste in the mouth. Thankfully, as I say, the actual musicality, the performances of everybody else involved on stage was so good that it did bring it back for me. So there we have it. Those are my initial thoughts, feelings, and impressions on Devin Townsend's The Moth. Like I say, I will be watching this a bunch more times. You get, I think it's 2 months of unlimited access to the VOD, which is quite nice, actually. So I've got the opportunity to listen to this a bunch more times. It's like only 76 minutes long, so you can just like kind of watch it again on repeat, have it on in the background, enjoy it, figure it out. And I've not really gone into the specifics of any particular moments in great detail, I know, but that's because I've only listened to it once, and it's kind of like, I feel like in order to do so and go into greater sort of like minutia, I would need to sit down, listen to this a bunch more times, but at that point I might as well just be doing a full review. But I don't want to do that yet. I don't want to figure out like the exact where do I sit on this at the moment. I want to wait until the studio release comes out for that. That might happen by the end of the year. It might not happen by the end of the year. Who knows? We'll see what goes on. So yeah, if you were either in Amsterdam and saw this live, or you watched the live stream as well like I did, then please let me know what you thought about The Moth in the comments down below. Let's get a discussion going. I'd love to hear what people's thoughts are, love to understand where people think Devin's going to go next from this, how we can evolve as an artist from this particular performance. Let's just talk about things, it'll be fun. If you did stick around until the very end of this video with my increasingly inane ramblings about something I've watched once and once only, thank you very much indeed for your patience with me. Like I say, all of this is just my initial thoughts and feelings on the experience. It's very likely going to evolve and change over time. I just really wanted to just word dump whilst it's fresh in my head. But until next time, guys, as always, keep your rhyme signatures pretty odd.